Hello and welcome back to another Arcanum Ventures special 10-minute investor eye test. I think this is the second one of the year. And today we will be covering Hivello, the all-in-one DPIN manager that helps manage all of your decentralized physical infrastructure networks to generate passive income effortlessly. I've been hearing a lot about this one, but I have pretty much no idea what it does. How about you, Sasha? How's it going today?
Good man. I haven't been hearing a lot about this one. I'm not sure what circles you're hanging out in, but I do know a little bit about this because we covered it on our three token launches happening this week video. At least I know they had an IDO or an IEO. But from what I understand, Hivello is a DPIN manager,
Yep.
like you'd mentioned, and so I guess you can run like multiple, or you can join multiple DPINs on your computer or some other hardware, so that you can earn from multiple DPINs at the same time. So this is going to be interesting. I wonder if like it's even possible. Like, are you going to blow your motherboard by doing that? Who knows?
Y- Yeah, and I think I've been hearing a lot about it because you and I are involved in DePIN quite heavily. We advise and we invest in some DePIN companies, and anytime I mention one of those portfolio companies, somebody mentions Hivello. So it makes sense if it's some sort of aggregator, I guess, so you can manage that all effortlessly. And we've seen that with like node infrastructure before, like manage all your nodes. So it makes sense. I think we saw this with play to earn. We saw it with DeFi. Like people like simplicity and they like combining everything in one easy dashboard so that they can track because it's tedious to connect all your wallets and track different ecosystems and blockchains. So on the surface, it makes sense to me. What I don't understand is why it has a token yet,
Yeah.
which is always the case. And that's what we're going to try to figure out today in the next 10 minutes. Is this something that makes sense? And would we, as a VC or even a retail investor or an angel investor, invest in this?
Yep. And with that said, let's get 10 minutes on the clock starting right meow. Okay. 10 minutes on Hivello. And I've got crypto rank up. As you can see, there's an IDO coming up, I guess, in a few days. And so I see that there's some logos I recognize, at least on funds and backers. And it looks like MEXC, Blockchain Founders Fund, Cipher Capital. We know some of these fellas, and this is a pretty decent looking cap table, right?
Yeah, Primal Cap. Our friends at Primal Cap are
Yes,
on
sir.
there as well.
Big ventures.
And it looks like MEXC is launching them too. So one of the rare ones where we actually know when the token is going to be live because sometimes we do these videos and there's like 10 IDOs and spanning a month, and then we have no idea when the token's going to list. So I think the token will be listing at the end of the month, which is the 31st. And so we know that we can expect some results by then.
Yeah, and also they're launching an IDO on DAO Maker, which is cool. I think IDOs have slowly been going away, right? Like there's not a lot of focus on launching on decentralized exchanges, but I hope that changes because I think there's just a better level of transparency there. Like there's too much controversy around centralized exchange launches, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're going away or if they're getting better, but I think they will definitely have to change. And, we're seeing a lot of companies launching alternative assets on like Pump.fun or some of these social AI agent token launch platforms. So maybe that's going to slowly take over the IDO launchpad scene. But for now, IDOs are still going. And you can see on Crypto Rank that I think like quite a few are launching this week and next week. And probably going to heat up while people wait for alt season to come back if it ever comes back.
Very true. I am seeing a 45 million fully diluted valuation on the token supply for Hivello, the HVLO token. That's pretty high. And to be honest, again, I'm not sure what the token does yet. That's our job to figure out. But I do see interesting right here in the tokenomics that Crypto Rank is providing. I'm not sure how accurate this is, but the pre-seed tokens are dedicated under a warrant. You don't
Mm,
normally see that. But let's
yeah.
check out the website, right?
And also, we don't know where this token will live, what chain it's on, if it's on an IOTX or a Peak or a DPIN network, or if it's on a more widely used network that has more liquidity.
So I've got the website up here, and it says we have an all-in-one DPIN manager. Pretty sleek looking website, right, dude?
Yeah, I mean, I like simplicity. Like you saw the dashboard up there, and then it has three different download options. So for people that have Mac, people that have Linux, Windows, so that's
Yeah.
cool. I don't know if this runs on phones either. Like if it's for Android or. It looks like they just focused on computer right now.
Ooh. But yeah, I guess it's very, very streamlined. It's very simple, right? Step one, download the app. Step two, install the app on your desktop. So I suppose you can use a desktop computer. I'm not sure about laptops. I assumed maybe some other hardware, but maybe
Hmm.
that's to come. And then step three, earn tokens from a variety of Web3 protocols, and they're referring to DPINs. So DPIN or decentralized physical infrastructure networks that require you to use a computer to contribute to the network, whether that's data or like some computations, like a Bitcoin miner or something. So you can run multiple DPINs on one machine and earn a variety of Web3 tokens from each of those networks. But what's their own token for then, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we could switch it up this week before we go any further and give a quick guess because like I had a feeling, if this is an aggregator and companies are going to be, you're going to be able to find opportunities to generate income, right? Like by finding deep in networks you've never heard of before, and they're going to let you earn their own tokens, which will be listed on Hivello. So that brings me to the question that the first thing we're going to be looking for is what does the Havell token do and why is it necessary if you're going to get paid out in these other tokens. So one guess I might add, and you might have some better guesses than me, is are these companies going to have to pay to get listed on here and they're going to have to buy some Havell tokens or stake them, or is there governance involved? So if you have any guesses before we go any further.
Well, I see some good resources here that's gonna, answer our
Yeah.
question. But yeah, I think like this is funny because we talked about maybe doing some content around like how would we design a token for random companies.
Hmm.
What makes sense to me is like this sort of like it sounds like Hivello is sort of like a software business. They've got like this aggregator suite that you're talking about. So maybe they go with like a traditional SaaS type of model. They might require some of these companies that allow integration with Hivello to buy tokens. It doesn't make sense that they would ask them to buy and stake tokens because then they're just kind of giving them an interest-free loan. I'm not a fan of staking business models when it comes to SaaS models because you're not really generating revenue.
Yep.
So, but that they could have something like that on the enterprise side, on the B2B side. That's going to be a bit of a weak use case. On the
Hmm.
consumer side, maybe people need to buy and stake tokens in order to connect a particular DPIN, sort of like a business model with what we're seeing on like virtuals, for example. Or I think what is it? Is it Pump.Fun? One of these
Hmm.
platforms where you can launch a token in order to retain more of the original supply, you have to like buy and stake their own tokens. So it's like a gated or tiered access model. That might make sense, but at the end of the day, like I see all I predict they're just going to be, staking utilities, which is very weak for this company.
Yeah, another potential option might be a percentage of all revenues generated from the platform, kind of like a referral. Like, you're welcome for finding this opportunity. We're going to take 10%, 15%, and that goes to a treasury managed by Hivello. And then maybe that goes to buyback tokens, for example. That's like one potential utility that might make sense. I'm not sure if I love it, but it's something that might answer that question. How do you marry these tokens together from these other protocols and then Hivello's own token?
Yeah, that is true. If you think about like, node operation as a service companies,
Hmm.
they require like some sort of monthly subscription, which is not deducted from the earnings. But there is a good opportunity to like deduct from the earnings. What Hivello can do is take all of those earnings in these other tokens and just pay out their own token at some premium. So they're diversifying their own portfolio of assets. In the meantime, they're providing their own token as like a rewards mechanism, so that could work as well, I think. But
Yeah,
I guess
maybe they want to establish themselves as like a DPIN ETF, like a basket of other DPIN assets to maybe represent like a chunk of the industry that, is still amongst one of the primary narratives in crypto still. I think DPIN last year and running into this year, people are still pretty excited about DPIN, which is why Hivello is such a high FDV at launch.
that is true. It is. It seems like a high FTV for a token, right? But
Yeah.
I guess Animoca is they're reading one. They're leading one of the rounds. They've got
Hmm.
a lot of notable investors. But again, I'm not seeing anything here around utility. Guys, again, this is such a pet peeve of mine. When we talk about tokenomics, let's think about like the pie chart and the vesting as only one side of tokenomics, the supply side. What's the demand side? Utility, right? So when we say tokenomics, let's think about both. But I do see a distribution and a vesting schedule. Nothing on the actual use case yet. The big question.
In 25 more than 25% of tokens are for the ecosystem rewards, so that's also interesting. It leads you to think that maybe they're going to subsidize any rewards that go out. So instead of doing what we just said and collecting, a percentage of all fees generated from other DPIN networks, maybe they're also going to pay you with their own token, which is great for users of Hivello's platform, but not so great for the Hivello company and team, and the token accrual, the value accrual, because I'm not sure how they could afford to give away a quarter of all tokens without any way to bring those tokens back in. We haven't seen, like you said, any utilities to bring those back in and sync them back into the ecosystem.
It's a very good question, man. And I'm still not seeing any utilities. I don't know what the Hivello token does. This link here just brings us to the token sale where you can buy the token. Maybe this video explains, but I don't think we have a lot of time left on our 10-minute eye test. It
We
talks
could.
about onboarding the next 100 million normies via crypto DPIN mining. But yeah, like, what
Oh, it
is
said
tokenomics?
go back. It said down here rewards or something. I mean,
No
all I
way.
see is rewards, and that can't be that can't be it. Uh,
I don't know. There's not a lot of answers here, and so this is kind of wild, right? They've got a $45 million fully diluted valuation of this token, and let's be honest, the token is not buying you a piece of the company. It's not a security. It's not granting you ownership of this protocol or the company at all. It's a token that is tied into the use of this product, but we don't know why or how.
mm,
And that's 10 minutes. Whew. I'm like dying to know why they've got a token now. We didn't uncover that. We didn't figure it out.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
right. I don't even know where to look for that answer. I mean, there's other stuff you could, I think we went over this a few times. Like, we don't always do it. Actually, we rarely do it. But if you only have 10 minutes, you have to really play triage with what sort of information you're looking for. So, looking at the team is that could take you 10 minutes alone. We didn't see a whole lot about the team, but I did see that there was a link to meet the team or something like that. So you could at least look into the experience they have. Maybe they've worked in telecoms industry. Maybe they're familiar with other DePIN projects, or they've advised. Another thing you look at is social traction. I think I saw that they were doing an airdrop. So that's another emission of tokens that I'm not sure how they're going to sink back into the economy. So
mm,
Hivello could be, really a powerful use case for a token, and it could be really good for DePIN. But yeah, I guess we can go to our verdict if you want to start. And before we do, just a quick reminder for everybody: if you enjoy these videos, or if you have any other video ideas, or you want us to cover a project, or see us interview somebody, leave some comments down below, give us a follow, and stay tuned for next week when we have some more videos. And yeah, Sasha, what do you think about Hivello? I think I can guess what you're going to say, but I'd like to hear it from you.
well, I think, yeah, I mean, I'll just dive right into the hard part. I'm, I think I understand all the different ways that you might be able to integrate a token into this software or platform, and none of those ways, like, as you know, we're pretty darn good token economists. None of those ways kind of interest me or excite me. I can see a project like this completely operating fine without a token. We've seen companies like that before. NodeOps is a good example. And so, like, just having some sort of subscription SaaS model for providing this software platform is simple enough. And there might be a demand for that, anyways. But yeah, I don't know how the tokens fit in, regardless of how it is fit in. Like, I don't see it being very exciting or interesting, like I said, and it's not something that I would consider investing in.
Mm,
However, like the team I'm not sure about the team, but the backers look very interesting. So maybe there's something there, right? It's something
yeah.
that is worth diving into. But like in the current state of things, I don't know if there's a huge market for this even. Like DPIN is still very niche, and there are these are kind of like siloed communities because each DPIN essentially is trying to solve a problem within a specific industry, and the communities or followers of communities that like build behind these problems, most likely experience those problems, they understand them, and there's very little overlap between like different DPIN networks, I would say. So like creating a DPIN rewards aggregator or a DPIN operation aggregator seems like a very, very small slice of people within Web3 that they'd want to target. So I don't even know if the market's there. But I'll give it one thumb sideways. Like I'm definitely interested in learning more about the token and what it does, just to be proven wrong. But at this point, I would not consider investing.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said, and I'll start with the one thumb sideways just to get that out of the way. I think you made a good point. Like, is there market demand for this? And another good point you made was a lot of the DePIN companies we see don't have a lot or even anything in common aside from DePIN, which is an artificial construct invented by people in the industry just to describe something that is sort of hard to describe still to people that don't understand crypto or DePIN.
Hmm.
So I think the dream for DePIN is to onboard the next billion, like everybody else, every other niche in crypto. And there's this belief that DePIN will be the one to solve this. Finally, we found something that's like the $1 billion, $1 trillion use case for crypto. Like everybody with a device, everybody with a phone, everybody with a computer can participate, and that is a nice dream, but I'm not sure how practical that is. And I would something I've been thinking a lot about lately, and better than anybody because we invest in companies, and the AI agent craze for right now, or compute resource sharing, that is huge, and everybody's investing in it right now. It's the only thing people are investing in. But by the time these companies launch, will that still be the big narrative? Because are we seeing this potentially with DePIN? Like, that might answer why some of these big companies got in early. They probably funded this a year and a half ago when DePIN was hot. Like, nobody was not investing in DePIN, and there was no other narratives that were strong at that time. So by the time that this eventually launches, this what might have been a big bet on the DePIN space. It's not an ETF, but it's a big bet on DePIN in general because it's an aggregator. So by the time this launches, is DePIN still going to be so hot, like flaming hot, that anybody that has exposure to it is going to be real happy? Maybe not. So it's kind of a cautionary tale. Like, don't invest in what's hot now, invest in what might be hot later on. So it's easy for us to say on this call that, Hivello doesn't look that strong. DePIN's not as exciting as we once thought it might be, at least not yet. It hasn't established that traction. So I think Hivello could be promising if DePIN picks up, if people start to realize the potential, if we see, 5 or 10 really strong DePIN projects that prove everybody, okay, this is here for the long term. It's not just a passing phase. Then Hivello might be really strong. And then we're going to see a lot of that second wave and a lot of people launching their own DePIN networks because they're going to see there's a lot of potential here to organize people and devices and give them another passive income stream. So Hivello might be a nice long-term play if you really believe in DePIN, but I also would love to learn more about this, but I don't really see the need for a token. And I think you might agree, I would like to see a shift for companies to maybe consider not having a digital asset, at least in the beginning, for fundraising purposes. Maybe Hivello could have been a really lean startup that just created a platform and started to aggregate this, build a community, and make money in a more conventional business structure before thinking about launching an asset and figuring out how to, ascribe utility to it. Maybe that would be much more, I'd be enthusiastic about that company maybe. But with a token, it's kind of hard for me to dream up any concept that makes sense to me as a potential token investor.
Yeah, these are all very good points. As you were speaking, I thought of another one as well. Like, we know DePIN networks, like I said, are focused on solving specific problems within specific industries, whereas this seems more so limited to a DePIN network where it's like DePIN is actually just software you install on your computer, and there's like a limited amount of data that your computer can provide to the network. So it's maybe like catered towards edge computing networks or something that it wouldn't work for a DePIN where you have to buy their own proprietary hardware like Chirp or Helium or something else, right? That wouldn't
Yep.
work. It needs to be an application you install on your computer. And I've always been critical for DePINs like that. Like, it's not really DePIN, it's just a software company. So there's that as well, but that's
Yeah,
another
I mean,
hot
you
take.
don't. That's a good point. You don't have to have your own proprietary hardware to be a DePIN company necessarily, but I think there was that one that you and I saw at the conference in Singapore that monitors the weather, and you need to have a special weather monitoring device, or else you can't participate. Like I can't just run my MacBook and it will be a reliable node of information for the barometric pressure of where I am right now. So that's a good point. Like half these won't even be options for most people because they don't have that proprietary hardware, whereas some will just be software they run on their computer in the background. Okay, that's good enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we have come to an agreement that this is a two thumb sideways. Hivello might be doing something indeed very impressive and cool and necessary for the space, but 10 minutes, like we thought, like we anticipated, is not enough time to figure out if we want to invest in the HVLL token. But we wish them the best of luck, and we will eagerly be following along and seeing what they do and how many DPIN projects they end up having on their platform, because I'm not even aware of all the projects that are launching in the DPIN space right now. So best of luck to the team. Thanks for tuning in with Sasha and myself at Arcanum Ventures, and see you next week for another 10-minute investor eye test. Ciao,
Ciao,
everybody.
y'all.